Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
Corey, have you ever driven a Porsche?
No.
Dave, have you ever driven a Lamborghini?
No.
Do you think U.S. Sugar is going to let us drive their Porsche and Lamborghini that they got parked out front?
I'm planning on it.
Yeah?
I think
They
they will.
said they brought it just for us.
So you think that's how we get back tonight?
Yeah.
We are sitting here in the youth center, so our hands are full of water bottles,
Yes.
which is not so bad because our guest is wrapping up 75 days hard, right? 75 hard? What is that? Is that what you call it? But I think they're going to be excited to.
Unless you're Corey, you do 2.5 days hard.
I'm wrapping up a lifetime of soft.
I love it. Well, there's no reason to wait any longer. Are you?
I'm ready.
You think you can do this on a water diet here?
I'm fine.
You got this? Okay. Been locked in. Let's do it.
Today on the Farm for Fun show, we hacked into this influencer's calendar and flew to America's sweetest town of Clewiston, Florida. We cornered him here and literally have him locked in. He cannot leave. He's an actor, a producer, a rancher. He's loved by many. His platform focuses on ranching, bringing light to real-world issues in a fun and entertaining way. He's also uses his trusty sidekicks, Gate Bart and Granny. They bring the message home. But we got this man here. So we're just going to have to work with what we got.
We're going to work with them.
Unfortunately.
He has 232,000 subs on YouTube, 334,000 on Instagram, and over 1.8 million on TikTok. Please welcome, from the great state of Oklahoma, Mr. Gatlins Childhood.
Wow. I feel like I need you to narrate every time I go to bed or wake up in the morning. Like, that'd get me fired
I'll have
up.
to get my
We
nice
will
soft
send you.
voice on now.
We'll send you the MP3 file.
Like, if I woke up with that every morning, I'd be like, I'm ready to start
Let's
the day.
go.
Let's
All right.
go.
Social media.
You know what? It's almost Christmas. You know, we got great gift ideas. We should start just pawning Corey out on there.
There you go.
You want a wake up song?
Yeah.
You want something to set your alarm to every morning? We'll sign Corey right up.
Get the Farm for Profit intro with Corey.
Hell yeah.
On Cameo.
Well, yeah,
On
Cameo. I was going to say, what is that?
$15.99.
Cameo. You want an intro to your life? I will do it every morning. $75 or whatever it takes.
Whatever it is.
Well, I
thank
tell
you
you
guys.
what. I mean, we came to the youth center and we walked in the door. And Gatlin had to take a picture, send a video.
There was 3 people here, and one of them were drooling over him, and everyone knows him.
Hi, there's probably gonna be a lot of people.
Oh my God, you're so tall.
I actually paid her, so you guys just made she's a paid
How
actress.
tall are you? Because I didn't actually go, wow, you're tall.
We're all like the same. Like I'm
6
6
foot?
foot 1.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'm like 6.
not-
boots,
She didn't
6
call us tall.
That's
He walked in the same time.
Yes, you're correct.
They did trust us though. They gave us the run of the whole joint.
Oh, yeah.
We can't get away with anything because yes, we are locked inside.
Yeah.
But we can
We
go
got
and
3D
be
printers over here,
Wherever we want
Xbox over there.
Unlimited snacks.
Yes.
Unlimited
I mean,
snacks.
yes.
Yep. So it has been a long time coming. We've actually been trying to chase you down for a while. That's why I said that. So Gatlin, let's go back and start. You know, we all know you're a big social media star. Let's go back to your childhood. You grew up in Oklahoma.
Yep.
What did that look like?
Yeah, so I grew up in western Oklahoma. That's basically in between Amarillo, Texas, and Oklahoma City is western Oklahoma out there right off I-40. My family's been farming and ranching out there since 1902. Is when my French immigrant, 6 generations ago, grandparents came over and settled the homestead that we now film all of our content at today.
Was it Didier
It's
before that? Then?
It was Pierre, probably Didier
Okay,
at that time.
okay.
Pierre Marie Didier. But now Didier, as my dad says. We're American ranchers, so that's how it goes. But I grew up in a small town, 1,200 people, graduated 36 people, played every sport, student council from FFA, showed pigs, did the whole thing. You guys know growing up in a small town, that's how it is.
Yep.
So that was my upbringing, and I worked on the family farm and ranch all growing up. It was my summer job. And then when we weren't playing sports, that's what you were doing, something like that. So, and a big influence in my life was my grandpa, and that's where I was basically his hand all growing up, and that would have been Granny's husband in real life. And then after that, I worked for my dad and uncle in my teen years, and even to college, I'd come back and be their hand. in the summertime. So
So
that was
grandpa, dad, and uncle were involved.
Yep.
Did your dad have more siblings than just a brother?
Nope, it's just my dad and uncle. There's 2 Didier boys that my grandparents had, and then my uncle had 2 kids and my dad had 2 kids. So and it's still not a big family, but small family. But it's always been within the Didier family where we're at
So
today.
brother or sister?
I have a sister.
You have a sister.
She's
okay.
the one that was in Wisconsin that was mentioned to you all before we started the podcast, and then I have two cousins that are older than me. One's a vet and one's now helping out on the farm full time.
Very nice.
So then, is Gate Bart a cousin too?
Yeah, so Gabe Bart is my cousin Jarrett Sitton. So he's from a small town that's famously known as the home of Johnny Bench. He's a baseball player for the Cincinnati Reds back in the 70s. He's from this small town called Binger, and then in the summertime, he would actually come and work with us too. So ironically, a lot of our content reflects more so of our teen years and our childhood. He would get out, get the gates, we'd build fence together, we tore down chicken coops, and anything those little tasks they give you, and they don't trust you with doing the big stuff when you're like in your.
They expect it to take all day, and they're surprised when you're done by 2.
Yeah, that, or sometimes like that's a job they're like, they don't think we'll get it done. It just takes us a couple weeks, we get it done. So he was always working with us. So that's how I kind of, when we do the videos, it's just us basically reenacting a lot of our growing up a lot, really, honestly.
Man, that's awesome. So you guys your family started the farm, what did you say, 1902?
1902 when the official homestead.
So I think ours was 1903 or 1906, somewhere in there. It's about the same time in Iowa.
That's cool.
So it's like just 2 different paths to get there.
Isn't it crazy to think about the legacy, though, that came before you now? Like, I really do think about it more. I think more because I'm so more involved with it. But as a kid, you don't think about that. But think for 120 years, this has survived.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, just get by.
How many businesses have you seen come and go in your life, like in your small towns or whatever?
Yeah.
It's kind of surreal to really think about like how much determination and grit our families have to maintain something for so long.
Yeah. And they would have probably been, because the Dust Bowl was pretty bad down there, right?
Yep.
In that part of Oklahoma.
They stuck it out. They didn't go to California like a lot of them did. And it's kind of funny because now it's reversed that. Now we have a lot of Californians coming to Oklahoma now, too.
Jared McDaniel always talks about that because he's in Texoma.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Texoma?
Yeah, Texoma.
Oh, I played football in Texoma.
Yeah, so
growing up.
we've had him on the podcast. He used to be on Twitter. He's not on Twitter anymore, but he gets around a little bit. But he always talks about how tough his family is because of the Dust Bowl. Basically,
Different breed of people right there that survived that.
Yeah.
But you said you did all these things as a kid, and as you got up there, and your family didn't leave because of the Dust Bowl and go to California, but you still went to California.
Yes, yeah. So that's just so funny. A lot of people don't even know this, and I've never ashamed to talk about or hide it through our stuff. But some people are just lazy, don't want to go do research either. Yeah. So I went to California right after college. I graduated in 2016, and then I went out.
What'd you graduate?
What'd you go to school for?
So I went to school for video and audio production and a journalism degree from
So
the
he's sitting here. You should have watched him shake as we said all this.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do like that.
That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good.
what kind of camera is that? Oh, my gosh.
That's what fit in a carry-on.
Yeah, it's what I love is you can do so much with so little. That's what people don't realize. You don't need to have the fanciest stuff. Yeah. It's like tractors and equipment though too. It's like you do want to have that though. So that's kind of me with the audio and video equipment.
Yep.
I'm like, what is the nicest camera right now? Oh, I wish we could get that.
Yeah.
But so I went to California in 2016. I met my wife the summer before. I was out there visiting. And we hit it off. So I think that's what kind of really spurred me to really make the jump to go out there, because most people from small towns talk about doing that or just never execute, or if they go for a second, come back. I mean,
you just wanted to go find a woman?
No, I was single as it could be. I was like, I ain't finding a woman, and then she found me, and I was locked in ever since. So that really changed my life. But I had a year left of college, finished out college, went out to California, pursued acting and film and television, and then came back to Oklahoma during the pandemic, because there was nothing else to do in California, and we started making some videos and throwing those on the internet.
So can we find you in any cameos or any commercials or working your way up?
I do have an IMDb page. I was in this movie that came through Oklahoma. It was right before I left for California, called Gosnell, and I was Dean Cain, the actor who played Superman back in the 90s. I married his daughter in the movie. So the movie starts with us me marrying his daughter, and I had a scene with him, but they cut it out completely, so I had no talking lines or anything. I'm just this extra guy marrying his daughter, and then they never see the daughter from again in the movie. So it's kind of funny, but then I did some music videos and things like that would come through, and then when I went to California, I just auditioned. I auditioned probably over 350 times.
Oh wow!
Holy crap!
Yeah, I went nonstop, and I got close on some things, never never could book it out there. And then again, COVID happened, and God's timing took me to doing everything I was trying to do onto the internet.
Huh.
It's really, really ironic, and I don't know. I always say it's the Lord's work. I thought I was going for something else, but He brought me back home for a reason too.
That is, I got so many questions.
Did you want to go to acting? You obviously went to school out of high school for journalism, so you knew you didn't really want to go back to the farm, right?
Well, I actually went to a junior college first in El Reno, Oklahoma. I went to go play baseball.
Yeah.
And my freshman year, injured your UCL, your ulnar collateral. So I was like, after that, I didn't want to do the whole rehab, Tommy John, all that stuff.
That's the same thing Brock Purdy injured, right?
Yes, last year.
Yeah.
Yep, the exact
Tommy
same
John
thing.
surgery, yeah.
And I tried to rehab and all that, and I just honestly, I lost the passion for baseball at that time too, and I didn't come to full terms of it until a certain point. But then I was like, afterwards, it's like, all right, what the heck else am I going to do? I thought I was going to play baseball my whole life. So,
All right, let's guess his position. We've done this with another baseball player.
Yeah, so he's 6'1". Remember this, folks.
First base all day long.
Really? Nah, it wouldn't. I don't think that would have that much effect on a first baseman. I'm going to go. I'm going third base or center field.
I was going to. He can't really pick.
I was
center.
slow. I was slow.
Ooh,
So-
not outfield then.
Yeah.
Second
He was
base.
slow.
Yeah.
Or pitcher.
So I pitched I stressed out my elbow when I was 13 because I threw so much. So I
Okay.
was a pitcher, but in college I went to convert to a catcher, and that's where I did it. Ironically, I was avoiding pitching to not hurt my arm anymore,
Yeah.
and then catching did that. So catcher in college, but in high school when you're a small town, I played shortstop, third base, first base.
Yeah.
Like in the game, I could probably play 8 positions at one time.
Right.
But so I was baseball, and then I was like, I got to figure this out. And another passion I always had was I loved movies growing up. I loved watching John Wayne with my grandpa. I was in all the school plays, all that stuff growing up. And so I was like, you know what, my dad, which is really funny, is my dad we were the ones watching movies growing up with me, was my dad. So he was like, hey, like, you need to go after the acting thing. If you want to do it, you should do it. And most people would think a rancher would be like, no, we work here, this is what we do.
Go do it. You'll be back in 2 months.
Yeah, and I don't know if because he finally got to start doing his passion in his 40s, which was ranching full time, because he managed a co-op for 25 years, basically out of college, a grain co-op, and he did that, and he didn't love it, but then he's got to start ranching in his mid-40s, and I think he realized, I'm finally getting to do what I love. I want my kids to get to do what they love. And so, like I said, my sister's a doctor from a small town in western Oklahoma, and I was an actor, but all of my foundations in agriculture.
Right.
So I think all my passions, it's just like you kind of really analyze
Collided.
it. It all collided in everything we do now. But that's what really drove me to get to doing film and television. Is like I just wanted to do. I love telling stories. Been doing it my whole life. Always making up stuff. We have to be creative out there because it's so
Right.
boring, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever audition for like Farmer Needs a Wife reality television
He
show?
already had a wife.
I know. I'm just wondering.
I got hit up a lot by their casting.
Yeah.
But then I turned them down. So last year we partnered with them. We actually promoted their show.
Okay.
Through me and my wife's story, because they're like, y'all's story is our show. And so we did it from our characters for 3 videos, and then we flipped it back. Then I pulled my Daryl hat off and became Gatlin for a video.
Yeah.
We did it, and they loved it. So we actually worked with Fox on that. But I auditioned for, like I said, a bunch of stuff, but never really. I always avoid the reality stuff because,
Really?
yeah, I'm not. I was trained to pretend to be somebody else, which correlates to everything we still do to this day.
Right.
But that's just kind of how the acting thing came into be for me.
Did you make some good connections out in California when you're doing all that acting, like for that Fox gig, or did that help at all?
I think this is the funniest thing. So my very first audition was on a Fox lot, so that was really full circle when that happened. But we were out there this last February, me and Granny, because we were my 1-year-old was getting baptized out there. The priest who married me and my wife, and my wife was raised Catholic, so we baptized our baby Catholic. And while we were out there, Fox hits us up and says, "Hey, we'd love for you to do this." And I'm like, we're actually out in like Los Angeles right now. They're like, "Come by the studio. We'd like come by the lot. We want to see you guys."
Oh yeah.
So we came in there. We basically had this full board meeting. Also, like they threw out the whole, the red carpet for me and Granny. And I'm like, this is so fun. In my life, I was like, 5 years ago, I was out here like banging on their doors, and now they're like letting us in all through social media and farming and agriculture. And I left Oklahoma to pursue all that, but me going back to Oklahoma, it's just like when you think about that, it's just so.
Right.
How much did COVID play into that? I mean, we got on TikTok, guys, when COVID happened, or maybe just a touch before. Did the whole world move to TikTok and start following you because of COVID? Do you think that had
I didn't even start. I was posting, ironically, I started posting YouTube videos January 2020 and making 2 skits a week. So I would do an original skit, and then we'd do it's called Redneck Reboots. So I would take a famous movie scene, but I'd make it redneck or make it country. And that was my whole shtick. I'd do original and do that. And my whole goal was for a year, I'm going to try this on YouTube and try to get to 10,000 subscribers. And then, when COVID happened, my sister had told me a few weeks before COVID, and then my brother-in-law told me when I came back out there, he was like, you got to post your stuff on TikTok. It's the app. Everybody says to do this. So I downloaded the app, threw up one of our YouTube video clips on there, did 31,000 views on the first one. I go, what is this app? I can't even get 500 people to watch one of my YouTube videos. YouTube,
correct.
Yeah. And I busted my butt for like 5 months to get to 1,000 subscribers. And I thought like that was hard. And I'd taken all the YouTube academies. I was like literally trying to study how to figure this stuff out. Because I was also the reason I even did all that is because my father-in-law said this. He said, what are you doing? Are you trying to act? I said, yeah. He goes, then why aren't you acting? And I said, well, no one will give me a job. And he goes, well, why don't you show them? And I was like, this guy's making a great point. And it was that simple. It was like, so that's why I started putting videos on YouTube. I wanted to show people what I could do. And then it turned in, COVID came in and played the big case. And then
there you go.
And then we go. I just got very consistent. We talked about that earlier, consistency, and then getting creative and trying to figure out what people like. And once I really figured out they love the agriculture, humor, funny, because there's not many people showcasing that. Yep. That's where I really doubled down, and that's where soon to be Daryl Bibbins came from.
So we talked about that when we had lunch before this, but you were in California full time, right?
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
And then you started making these videos, and then COVID hit, and how did you, because you're back at the farm full time.
Yeah.
Right now. So how did that transition?
Yeah. So once the Daryl thing, I remember I was telling you guys, yesterday was our 3-year anniversary when I posted the very first farm stuff with Daryl. Everyone thought I was Granger Smith, and I still get this today.
I was going to say, I think I saw you before you were huge, and I'm like, is that Earl DBL Jr.?
Yeah.
I'm like, did he do something else?
That's what everyone thought I was. Yes. They thought I was Earl DBL Jr. or a wannabe.
You could have done that video you did 30 minutes ago as him and been like,
well, that's what. So I one day I kind of got tired of the comments. I said, okay, y'all want to knock off Earl DBL Jr. I'll give you the farm boy version, and that's the genuine background of how Daryl came to be. I was like, okay, Earl. A lot of farmers named Daryl, Earl. That works. Yeah. Okay, Dibbles. That's 2 B's. I'm like, farmers wear overalls, buttons, bibs, Bibbins. All right, and that's literally how that is the true story of how Daryl Bibbins came to be. I just said Daryl Bibbins, and then if you look at the file, I recorded everything on this day. The file says Daryl Bibbins with an O-N-S, the third. I don't know what happened to the third when I was doing the creative process, all this, but it fell off somewhere. But that's how Daryl came to be, and I started making those in November. Once I posted one of those, I saw it did well, and I had to go to California like a week later, go back to my life. Yep. So me and Jared, he came for a weekend. We shot like 20 farm stuff with Daryl's. We just made a bunch of them, and he was just my filmer at this point. And he's sitting in there being my actual gate bee, going around getting the gate. And he goes, we should make one about the gate getter. I said, great idea. I was like, but we're going to make it what we actually call it. So that's where the original gate bee came from. And that video is where we went, we posted one about cattle guards, and it did a couple million. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then we posted the gate bee video, and it went 5 million overnight. And I'm like, all right, I guess it's farm stuff with Daryl for a time being. We rolled with it for a while.
Isn't that wild? I mean, we all started on TikTok as individual accounts.
Yeah.
We didn't even create a farm for profit account on TikTok until a year ago.
Yeah.
Really? A year and a half ago.
And YouTube.
Yeah. We just were so focused on personal brands and growing that. We love those platforms. I mean, we enjoy and consume it ourselves, to where the whole business part was kind of a last thought. And it's so much harder now.
Yeah.
But you're right. You go on there and your first couple pop off and you got followers and you can interact and you can engage and really put some really good content together. But I did want to go back. We did have the pleasure of having lunch with I wanted to call him Daryl. Having lunch.
It's all right. It will not offend me. I might give him the character, so be careful.
Having lunch here with Gatlin. Which is something that we don't get to do very often. You know, we jump into a lot of these interviews fairly cold. We do the research, but to have a warm conversation ahead of time. But what is it called when you have lunch between lunch and supper? You know, we got brunch in the morning because this was like lunch at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
What is
I thought
that?
that was like afternoon delight. Gay bar calls that lupper. I don't know where he came up with that one. That is straight south of I-40, country town is what I call it. But lupper, he would always say, "Hey, let's have some lupper." I'm like, that doesn't sound too.
Well, that's that debate in the Midwest: is it dinner or is it supper?
It's supper.
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah, that's a supper.
See, we'd always go inside for dinner, which was lunch.
Yeah.
We had dinner and supper as a kid.
But it's all
now I always
interchangeable.
call it lunch.
I didn't know that growing up, and then you go out to other places. My parents were very nice. We'd travel the country, like as a kid in the summertime, go to Yellowstone or go to Vegas. I got to see things, and people, I'd like, you'd hear other people talking. You're like, why are they like trying to go have dinner? Like, why are they having dinner right now? That's weird. And this is supper time.
Everybody's like, you want to make dinner reservations? Well, no, I just ate dinner.
Yeah, it's supper.
So did you have? You said you saw content that worked, and then you said, "This is it. This is what we're going to do." Did you have like some people we've interviewed had other influencers that were like, "Keep doing this. Follow." Did you have a mentor that helped you, or you said you did YouTube University? Like every kid in my 12-year-old's class is like, "I'm going to be a YouTube influencer. This is what I'm going to do," and they all think it's going to happen. I think a lot of kids think that right now that they're going to make serious money at it.
My daughters want their own YouTube channel.
Did you have help?
I mean, honestly, I did. So that was Think Media. Sean Cannell is his name that I did the YouTube Academy through. And this is not like a plug for him. That's just what I did. And at that time when I was doing it, I was getting up like 3 o'clock in the morning and studying. It was like basically going to college again, kind of. And that was all I had from a true mentor's standpoint. But I kept finding, you see those gurus that used to pop up on TikTok back in the day?
Yeah.
They'd like, oh, this is the new trend going on, or this is the new sound. Y'all should jump on this. So I'd follow, kind of like look at those. But honestly, the best advice I got was my old manager in Hollywood. When I started getting a following before Daryl came along, I think I've built it up to like 100,000 followers on TikTok, just doing sporadic skits with country content. I did a guy named Terry Dean, who Terry Dean would give you his 2 cents, and he would tell things how it was.
That was you?
That was me.
No way.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do actually.
And I wore aviators, and it was like I was
Yes.
trying to be like a cattle hauler at that time. Oh, like, and I wore a toothpick. So that was me.
I did see you before.
Yeah. So that was Terry Dean. I was having fun with this stuff, but my old manager, he's like, Gatlin, you're killing. This is awesome. Some of my old childhood friends are these Friday Beers guys. They're awesome. And he's like, what they did is they figured out how to like create a character or a concept and just built around it. I think what you should do is build a character. And I was like, that's a genius idea. Well, I want to make a character somebody loves. And so that's where I first did Terry Dean, and then I was trying to play with all these other things, and I was like, that ain't working. And then I was like, but what do I know? Like I come from a farm town. I grew up on a farm. I grew up with all this. I'm a farm boy.
Yeah.
So then so the spark of a little angst about being called Earl DBL Jr. knockoff Dollar General Earl DBL Jr. And then the light bulb of a character. I go, I'll just make this one for fun and see what happens. And it came to be Daryl Bibbins. Honestly, it's weird how you that stuff happens.
So you went to California what year?
2016 is when I moved out.
And then
there.
in 2020 you kind of started coming back to the farm?
Yeah, 2020. Yeah.
And then when did you go full-time back at the farm?
Full-time, we didn't move back full-time until the beginning of 2022.
Okay.
But we realized about the summer of 21 that this thing, like if I'm going to do this thing, it's got to happen here. Mm-hmm. And then, like I told you guys at lunch, honestly, it came down to, like, my wife had a really good job at that point, but she couldn't leave California. But then she got a job that allowed her to go fully remote. And that's what really kind of, okay, now we can make the step. So November of 21 is when we actually, like, okay, we're looking for houses, like, we can build a house. So we built a house versus trying to, compared to what we knew we were going to have to get in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some of our friends, like what they got for their next house in California was like the next tier you take. Like, we're like, we can build a house for this. Yeah. And we were saving up for that. So it's like, okay, let's build a house. Let's do it, right? If we're going to do I was like, hey, honey, if we're going to do this thing, let's just do it. And she's like, sure. And then we got pregnant, like knowing we're going to be moving out to Oklahoma. I said, hey,
You can have all the plans you want, but God's timing is the best.
Yeah, so my next question was going to be, until you answered it for me, how did you make money between 2016 and 2022 when you're trying to act? I know building a social media, like, yes, you're doing good, but the money doesn't come right away.
Oh, yeah.
He had a sugar mama.
No, I had a sugar mama. That was one of the best lead-ins I've seen in a long time. And then plugging U.S. Sugar here. Yeah. That's true. She was the stable income. I was doing the cliche actor stuff. I was bartending. I found a fine dining restaurant. I was telling my driver on the way here about it because he was telling me, "Oh, I've driven Wayne Gretzky." I'm like, "I've served Wayne Gretzky lots of times." At this restaurant I worked at. I met, and that's where I think it's really cool. I got to learn about the customer service side. I learned how to really schmooze people and understand building that relationship builds a rapport. So I was able to bring home a lot of cash tips because you're working at a fine dining steakhouse and I'm working the bar scene. And this is the happening spot in this town in California. So that was really cool. I worked with a lot of great people, met some, I was a cool story. This is weird. I've never shared this with anybody, but Rob Riggle, the comedian.
Oh, yeah.
So he was one of my regulars. That drives him nuts.
He did it to himself.
He's from Kansas. He's actually a Kansas kid growing up. Went to University of Kansas. Diehard Jayhawk fan. Really good dude. Ex-U.S. Marine. Dude, just a really solid dude. Come in for lunch all the time and order the same thing. And I just finally, guys, okay, I know who this is, but I'm just I talk to him regularly. He was one of my regulars. I became, when he had private events or he had a golf tournament or stuff he'd host for vets, he had me come be his bartender at those things. But that was really cool. I got to experience, and then I got to experience the entertainment side. He tried to hook me up with some agents and stuff to work, and then all that happened when all that was going down is when COVID happened, and then but that again, God's timing, that wasn't my avenue where
not
your
long term,
Yeah, but I was bartending, and then I got into construction during COVID because nothing was working out there. But everybody in California wanted to remodel their homes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're stuck in it.
They're stuck in it. Yeah. So all these people are like, "Hey, okay, let's do it." So this guy, he's like, "I can't hire help. I have no help. Can you help me?" I'm like, "I need some money, so I'll do that." And then I'd go at lunchtime and post TikToks. I'd either save them from the night before.
I thought you were gonna say YouTube how to install a deck.
Yeah. No. It was. Back when TikTok first started, you could stitch videos and you could get thousands, 100,000 views on stuff. So I'd go at lunchtime, eat my lunch, and and make something funny. And if you go watch some of my old stuff, it's kind of cringy, but it's that was my lunch because someone said you need to post 2 to 3 times a day to get the consistency.
We were told that early. I don't know what that was in the beginning because I think that just went around. That's what everybody was told to do, but. We talk about cringeworthy. We were driving out here, and now that it gives you this on this day, your old ones pop up. I said the same thing. I said, God, some of these are cringeworthy, and Corey just told me all of mine are cringeworthy.
You could argue. I say that too about stuff we make every week. Yeah. So it's just funny though. You look back and that's what it was like, and that was only 3 years ago, but it feels like a lifetime ago too.
So does your wife make TikToks?
No, she is removed from social media, and I like it too because again, I was telling you guys I like my anonymity through all this. I can go home and have my personal life and not share it with everybody because as you guys know, social media sometimes, especially on certain platforms, we won't say which platforms that audience can be rough on. Yeah, it's just not. It's not worth that part of you, that there's a pure part of your life or innocent part of your life to be tainted by this internet thing.
It's amazing that someone will stop their day to write what they write.
Oh, it's
it blows my mind. But then again, it's a reflection of kind of where we're at.
We've had a couple that do it, but they take the time to do it on 4 platforms.
They go all 4?
Send you an email, leave you a comment, leave your review. It's really?
At the end of the day, thanks for the algorithm boost, I guess.
Yes.
Because it does help.
That's one of my favorite videos. We make those jaded ones at those people because it's you all really help us.
Yeah.
More than
without you.
Yeah. Without your help, we could have made this video go viral. Thank you.
Before we leave the bartending part out, what was your favorite drink to make?
The one I made there all the time is lemon drop martini because, you get middle-aged, divorcee women. They're out on Thursday, Friday nights. Lemon drop martinis with a little sugar rim. That was the bane of my existence, except for Sunday brunches, and it was mimosas and the Bloody Marys. And the mimosas, because citrus and champagne, when you got to do it, it takes time. Right. We were using pure, we pressed our own juices at this restaurant, so it was fresh. So you go do the OJ in there with that. bubbles up, gotta let it down, and then you have 5 other ticket drinks coming in. Like, so I hated that. But my favorite drink to make, honestly, we had a whiskey smash, and it was so cool. It was like basil Hayden mixed with it was lemon. We were using bullet bourbon, and we had a little simple syrup in there. And it was good, like a hot summer day.
It just made my mouth water.
Yeah, it was good. And then there was another whiskey smash. No, the smash had the mint in there, and the basil. We just garnish it with the basil, but the mint was what the drink in there. So it was like refreshing.
Yeah.
On a hot summer day, like that would have been my drink of choice there.
So you do social media on stuff you know. Have you ever had the thought to be a bartender on social media?
No shot. I learned how to bartend enough to like. This guy can make a good drink because I could social. I was good with the social aspect of it. So even if my drink stunk, but by the 3rd or 4th one, someone had it, they didn't even know, and they're like, "We love this guy. He pours a little heavy."
As I say, if you're not that good, just pour a little heavy in your
Yeah. We had one of those guys this morning.
Yes,
it was
we
good,
did.
but he even made good drinks too. But he knew just when to push it back and make a funny joke and really crack. And I'm not going to forget him. I mean, every time we sit in that Des Moines airport, I'll have to.
There's an art form. That's the art form of bartending. Yeah. So you really don't got to be that good of a mixologist. You just got to be able to know how to talk to people.
That's really good at 6 a.m.
I mean, that's a different vibe. We left pretty early.
That's a different vibe there. So does like a Rob Riggle like notice you now that you're on? Because obviously he's had to see your stuff on TikTok or something like that. Do you know if he?
I don't know. I haven't reached that. He was on.
Hey, that's my bartender.
I know.
That's my guy.
His old assistant used to always like my TikToks and stuff too, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Rob." And this was like early on, like, "Oh, Rob thought this was good." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." He saw that, but I haven't heard from him or talked to him. I know he's went through a lot of personal stuff in life, so
he's a huge fan of ours, so he'll probably
he'll reach out. Rob, what's up, man?
What's up, man?
I won't be working the next invitational, but hey, I might know a few people that
he might be playing in it.
Hey, yeah. I won't be very good, but
hey, you don't have to be good to play golf.
No,
that's true.
We'll set up a 4-person scramble, and we'll put our 4-person scramble score against.
There you go.
There's
actually been people have asked us to do a
single
best shot farm for profit.
That'd be
golf
cool.
Tournament. That'd be kind of fun.
You should do that.
That'd be fun.
We should bring everybody in like they're doing here this weekend.
Yeah.
Bring everybody in, and if you're doing the heartland of America, which is Iowa,
We
you
can get Invitational. You could have.
I tell you what, I'm hiring the sugar folks though, because they got their stuff together,
organized.
Yes. Yeah,
you should have seen their faces when I couldn't get in my room. It was
they
the
kicked
worst
the door
thing
in.
She went and got another room just
She went and got me a new room.
Just in
No
case.
way.
It had nothing to do. Like I was like, oh, maybe I got the key card too close to my phone. You know, the old wives' tale, whatever it is.
Yeah.
No, the actual door was dead. Like they
You
weren't going to
couldn't
get into
it.
No.
So they just got you a new room,
Just got me a new room.
new care package, everything. Did
Slide
they
it
break
all
in to
over.
get
New
there?
care back.
Sewed the sand around the
That's
side.
quick.
Man,
They've been awesome. The hospitality they've already given us in the short time we've been here, Megan, everybody down, has been awesome.
All right, let's do our game. We usually play a game with a guest right in the middle. Usually about time we're going to switch topics. We're going to play start, bench, cut. You ever played that?
I've played different versions, but
Yes.
I definitely
I got before we start. What kind of cattle do you guys?
Black
raise?
Angus
Black
mainly,
Angus,
but we
okay.
do have a starter yard that has a mixture of everything.
Okay.
So we've played this game in other variations as well, and thanks to our friends, we are now calling it start, bench, cut.
You can't call it something.
Start, bench, cut.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Cut.
My Facebook audience will appreciate this one too. Yeah.
So we'll professionally transition from bartending talk to Ian. So what's if your liquor to drink? Start, bench, cut. Vodka, whiskey, tequila.
Ooh. I'm going to start whiskey now in my life, bench tequila, and I'm cutting vodka.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the story behind cutting vodka?
Did you have a run-in with Tito's like us?
I had a few run-ins with Tito's and his little compadres. But honestly, I think it's just because, I think when you're younger, almost all the mixed drinks have some sort of vodka in it. And as you get older, you acquire taste. Tequila does that. I definitely don't. It does not settle well with me anymore like it used to. But I do love a good, on a hot day, I love a spicy margarita. It's one of my favorite drinks.
Ooh, yeah?
Yeah.
So then what's the whiskey of choice?
Man, I have this one, Mitchers right now. You ever had Mitchers?
Yeah.
It's really good. Blanton. Everyone loves Blanton's. I think Blanton's a little overrated because I just love the bottle. That's cool.
Yeah.
But my Mitchers is smooth. Dude, in the bar that we had the King Louis the 14th, and it's like the most expensive whiskey bourbon in the world. And we had it up there, and I saw one guy come in my 4 years working at this place, and he poured it, and it was a $350 shot.
Wow.
and like that thing. But I was like, I never got to try it. But I was like, I bet you that thing probably tastes like the golden elixir.
Can I smell it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I bet one of those that you probably have it, and then you're like probably let down, like $350.
Sirens of Darkness. Yeah.
I think like, I mean, I like my mid-tier. I mean, but you can't go wrong with the Woodford Reserve. Like those are good, like mid-tier shells. But I don't know. I'm not even. I'm trying. I'm getting better at it. But being on 75 hard has been so like I haven't had liquor in 73 days. So I almost forgot what the taste and the scent and all that even is like.
It's just gonna all bring a whole new world to you.
I don't know.
Yeah, you have one and you'll be on your ass.
Yeah.
All right,
Especially if you mix it like he used to.
I'll bring in the next one. Start, bench, or cut. And maybe these are your sponsors, so you might not be able to like go the wrong direction. Hey Dudes, Twisted X, or Ariat?
I'm starting Hey Dudes because I'm more of a Durango guy too when it comes to boots. Twisted, I'll probably bench Ariat and then cut Twisted X. Okay. Hey Dude's like it's like the sport version of Twisted, like the more relaxed version of Twisted X. And then if you need a boot, just put the boot on. That's kind of my strategy there.
All right, Dave, what's the second most popular besides Angus cattle? You're a cattle guy.
Oh, I'd say Hereford.
Hereford. Okay,
Yeah, Hereford
here it is. Angus.
Okay.
So you can just imagine black Angus.
Yeah.
Hereford or Longhorns.
But you know which ones I'm cutting for sure. And ironically, our neighbors have Longhorns at our like right here. I think that, and it's like nothing against them. It's just like what's the other common cattle that most people know that you can make fun of? It's Longhorns. So we just use that. But our neighbors probably think we're like jabbing at them all the time.
Because the Holstein's too obvious.
Yeah. Well, everybody in California thinks it's just a cow. They don't know. Like,
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there's a cow. I'm like, well, that's a Holstein. But so I'd probably start Angus because I'm just biased. Bench Hereford, and then cut the Longhorns.
I never thought about dairy cattle. If you think about brown Swiss or Jerseys, or there's all kinds of breeds out there that might be, but I bet you Hereford's up there.
Yeah. I was talking beef cows, so
That works.
got one more.
I just was thinking about, everybody in the world thinks that Chick-fil-A is marketed by a cow.
Yeah.
And it's a cow that doesn't even, probably Holstein meat does go into some hamburgers that,
I heard a radio ad that like 30% of the population still thinks that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. So
Probably.
There's still that.
Tanner didn't have that on that one on the list.
Oh,
I wrote
good.
that when I was doing it because I knew the Longhorns have been trying to invade their
been.
farm.
They're still coming too.
Yeah.
Man.
They're still coming to Iowa State this week.
That Longhorn.
Hey, we need. I'm a Sooner, so we need that to
That's
happen.
right.
to even give us a chance.
There you go.
Yeah,
Iowa State's playing good right now.
they are. They're looking good.
Keep it all together. I'll do the last one just because I'm curious more about the bench and cut part of it. Red meat, poultry, or seafood?
I'm starting red meat all day. You can't beat steak, so that's like my go-to. I like but it all depends on where you're at. Like you can't be in. I'm sorry, but if you order something seafood in the middle of America, usually 9 times out of 10 it ain't that great. But if you're out on the coast, like it's usually pretty dang good, or in Hawaii or somewhere. So I'll probably bench seafood and cut poultry. I could live without poultry.
Yeah. We had some shrimp before we came here. It was good.
Gator.
Yeah, Gator.
How were those? I didn't even ask you.
The shrimp tacos were amazing. Tanner gave me one of his Gator tacos.
Yeah, we totally husband and wife that.
Yeah. You want to split a plate?
You want to share? 3 tacos.
I'm not hungry.
The shrimp tacos are better than the Gator.
I would agree. Yep.
We stuck to our roots.
I know.
We kept it. We kept
Those
those
patties
burgers.
look good.
They were good though.
They were good.
They were
I
nice
didn't
and
expect
thick.
it to be a double.
Oh man,
2
it was
different kinds
huge.
of cheese.
Bubba's Burger.
You want a pound of burger?
Yeah.
So a pound your burger. That's good. All right, where do you want to go from here, Corey?
I think we need. So we've beat around the bush of the whole Granny and Gate Bart and how Well, we haven't talked about Granny and how she came into it. So let's get into the social media more.
Okay.
And let's talk about Granny first.
Yeah, how
She's really your grandma?
Yes, that's my real grandma. That's my dad's mom.
And like what, 84?
82 years old.
82,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, 82. She lives on the homestead, has been there since 1971 is when my dad, like my grandpa and them officially moved there because his parents lived there before. Yep. So she's been out there, still out there. He does it every day, out there choring all her stuff that she does. And she was always there when we started doing the filming stuff. And I was like, it might be funny just to throw her in one of these videos. So there was one day it was snowing. She's like, needed me to go get her mail. Like, have me do actual chore for her. I was there, so I was like, recorded. Well, when it's snowing, guys, you got to get Granny's mail. So, like, I just showed myself going in there, and I handed it to her. And in the video, she goes, thanks, Daryl. Like, said it. And I'm like, oh, she put along with this. And then after that video I posted, people were like, we need to see more of this Granny lady. So I just started putting her in. And then she'd always say things growing up, like little things. She'd call girls like hussies or stuff, like kind of under her breath. And so I was showing her these like girls dancing on TikTok. And I'm like, Granny, look how bad this is. She goes, girls really dance like this? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, you know what you used to call these, right? She goes, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Well, you want to call them? That's a hussy. She goes, weird. You can't say that anymore. I said, you said it all the time.
Yeah,
what happened?
You said it all the time.
She's gotten softer in her old age, is what I tell her.
Out of all the things you used to say, that is probably not one of the better ones.
You could still say.
Yeah. Well, now she's made it like it's acceptable. Now I told her you brought it back. You made Hussy famous.
You made Hussy famous.
So I made like one video like where she's like, I'm like watching them because I made this whole thing where like I was trying to bring my wife into the content because people kept like women would hit me up and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is getting weird.
Yeah.
Like I'm Teen. This is my wife's name's Teen. I'm like, we need to like clarify that I'm married, so like I'm gonna start looking for a farm wife. And she's like, okay, whatever. So I started looking for a farm wife, and I'm like, Granny, is this a contestant for the farm wife? And it was some like hussy dancing, and she's like, no. So that's how that all started. And then one day I was like, I think Grandma just needs her own account because she's pretty funny. So we started her TikTok account, and the first video did like 700,000 views. I'm like, yeah. She's pretty. She's got this thing dialed in, and then that's how the legend of Granny came to be. And we didn't even start her Instagram until April of 2022.
Okay.
And it like her first video I posted did like 20
What's the
20
handle?
million.
Just at Granny?
At Granny Bibbins, because there was already an at
I was
Granny.
gonna
So
say, was there a Granny already?
yeah, and so
At Granny 0101.
0101.
And so I just said, all right, Grandma, you're just going to be Granny. And then Jarrett had, at one point, he had his own Instagram, and I think he got too many red flags from other stuff he'd shared in his younger days. So because he'd make videos that go viral, but then he could never get past 8,000 followers. So we pretend lost his Instagram account and just started him a new one. And he already had by the time we were a month in, he had 40,000 followers. I'm like, yeah, your old account was definitely red flag, man. We forgot that one.
Maybe we should try that.
It might work. Fresh, I think, works sometimes.
Close this one out.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, there's a couple things I want to pull out of what we're talking about before we go deeper into those two. Is I want to know what it's like in your DMs, because like you said, you had to kind of squash that bug, but I know it's probably relentless. Or are your DMs closed?
Oh no, they're open, I guess. From you they go in that request box on Instagram, which I miss a lot of brand deals because they get thrown there too, and I will see them 3 weeks later and I missed out on that one. But and then now it's spammed all the time with those fake accounts, 2 or 3 followers and some chick in a bikini or something, and then she's trying to get all these other stuff on there. So you get a bunch of those, and then you just get the ones that now that we have Sunday night conversations we share every Sunday. Now you're getting almost it's almost like the Christian mingle crowd. Hi, you guys are handsome young men. I would love to hook you up with my granddaughter, God-fearing boys. I'm like, well, that's very thoughtful and nice. I just don't respond. I'm like, if at this point, if you haven't figured out what's going on here, I'm not gonna waste my time and energy. So the DMs aren't crazy, but the ones the best now lately are the death threats we get. It's from the vegan / the blue-haired community on certain things when we make our funny jabs at them. So that's more of my more exhilarating ones.
I thought we've talked about it. I thought there should be a podcast or a channel that just invites people on to read through their DMs. You just sit there and it's just you spew the crap that comes through. It would probably
mostly be women guests. Well, because some of the stuff the guys send are just...
Oh, I can,
That's why I was curious with him, if he gets any of the...
You get some weird ones.
Reversed.
The one I do remember, now you said that, I totally forgot. When I first started getting a following, my wife hated this. This is when she's like, you've got to establish something. And I remember this was a horse girl. I don't remember where she was from. She's a horse girl. And she just was... So
started off
They're
crazy.
Dangerous.
Which I told her, honey, trust me, my dad and uncle rodeoed growing up. So they told me all the horror stories growing up. Cool. And so... like, this girl kept sending me her pictures of herself, and I was like, okay, I just blocked her. I just learned if people are going to get that weird with it, I just block them.
Yep.
But it was really weird, and it was like, it wasn't a bot, it's spam. It was like somebody genuinely shooting their shot, I guess.
Yeah.
Then people do still come in here and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to shoot my shot. And you're like, well, I mean, I appreciate the, like, gusto to go out and do that, because but
I think that's what a lot of guys do with the old D pics.
Yeah,
You know, hey, what do you think about this? Like, I don't want to.
full send is what they think they say.
Oh, jeez.
We're gonna have to start chasing our guests like that. We're gonna just say, "Hey, I'm gonna shoot my shot."
Shoot my shot. You in or not?
I'm just so glad I found my wife before, like, you know, even texting was that big. I mean, we texted, but, like,
Right.
if you got a picture message, like, it's all pixelated on a flip phone. You know, I'm just happy we did that before all this social media and DMs and all that.
I'm just I'm just glad I'm not a kid these days. You can only imagine how hard it is, and even trying to be in a relationship or find a good person, I couldn't even imagine what it's like. But luckily, my wife isn't a big social media person. I wasn't before all this. I had like 500 followers, and I was kind of not. I was kind of a social non-media person.
How does she handle that? Since she's not one, but then all of your income basically comes from that.
Yeah, she knows. She's accepted. Like, that's your job. Like, that's what you do. But she's fun. She's anytime there's a video or something, and she gets tagged. Like when she did the Farmer Wants a Wife one, she had like 1,500 friend requests on Instagram right away. And she's like, why do people want to follow me? Like, I can't comprehend. Like, you don't know me. You know, like, yeah, honey. I'm like, well, that's just called fans. It's just what it is, or followers. But yeah, and I like that she's like that, because I'd feel a little weird if, like, my wife was over here trying to get followers with, like, selfie pics and videos. Yeah. I mean, I'm just glad I have a good, wholesome, just a good person to keep me sane. I mean, because the social media world's like, you can get so distracted. I just have people who keep me aligned and straight. Right.
We had, a good friend of ours, Rob Sharkey, had Bart on.
Yep.
And that was a good interview.
Oh,
to
yeah.
kind of get his perspective and his line of things. So when's Granny go on tour?
I mean, I have to ask her all the time when you want to do something, and half the time she's like down for it. The other half the time she's like, I got my own trips, and then I got too much stuff to do here. So I mean, we've done, like, when 2021, I was with another social media group, the Tratter Gang guys, back in the day when we were like the OGs, like kind of collabed on stuff. I remember that. Yep. And we just did for a brief period, but we went on like this little nationwide tour, and she went on a few like places with us, and that was when she was starting to get rolling, and people loved her, like her being there. She was almost like a side stage thing, and she would sometimes have more people like seeing her, and that was cool. But we do the FFA state conventions and stuff, and when you go there, that's when you're like, okay, this is Granny's show, and we're just hanging back, having a good time, and like letting her pretend shock us, or our kids will come up and be like, can you shock me? And she's like, there's not actual batteries in this thing. I'm not gonna.
She's like, and they hand her batteries, right? Yeah.
No, they want to, it's so bad. And then even like if people in the like FFA administration of the state will come up and be like, can we get like in a video with Granny? I'm like, sure, but we won't shock you.
So does Granny have people sliding into her DMs and
there's
wanting to like, are you single, Granny? And
speaking of guys, dude, these old men, dude,
these old men,
they have no, like, they don't care.
Well,
you know, it's like your grandpa. He has no filter.
Yeah.
Well, these guys have no filter, and they're behind a wall, a social media wall. You're like, hey, honey, how much land do you got?
That was Corey.
Actually, I have an account for an 80-year-old me.
That was John Stapleton.
He does. It's the ultimate catfish in farming. He poses as this old man, and then when he shows up at the lady's front door wanting to rent their farm, they're all caught off guard.
And at that age, they've been through their life. Like, I mean, whatever decision they make, if they go to jail, if they do, whatever, what does it matter? They're 10, 15 years from, doesn't matter anymore.
They've lived it, man.
Yeah, so shoot their shot.
Oh, boy. That's going to be the episode title. It's going to be
Shoot Your Shot.
Farm for Fun. I haven't decided if it's going to be
Finally got the
Gatlin
shot.
or if it'll be Daryl, and then it'll be shooting his shot.
Earl DBL Jr.
Do you ever think you'll run out of content?
The title for the show is going to be like this long.
Oh, jeez. Do you ever think you'll run out of content, or you got your next plan?
Nah, like that. What I love what we do. It's like it's ever evolving. We've been able to our stuff is from like where we first started when farm stuff started taking off to like then bringing great gate bartending and Granny, and then like doing the whole thirst trap jokes as like morals over hussies, and then evolving to like what we're doing now, these original skits where we kind of tackle something going on in the world. It's been so fun to evolve that way and get really more honed in, because now it's like, if you guys notice, TikTok trends seem to be dead, like not really a thing anymore. Stuff that really seems to work is just the dumbest things. But where we starting to see a lot of our traction is when we do the original bits, it's crushing it on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So even though we have almost 3 million followers cumulatively on TikTok, I mean, some of our best views is through Instagram, and that's where we have the most fun making that content. And then now also with now bringing in the direct-to-consumer beef that we're our family's ranch beef, that's a whole nother area of content we're creating. And now we can bring in like the more educational aspect of like raising cattle, what it's like to process your cattle, your cuts, what nutrition aspects of it all. And that's stuff that I've had to get better at too, and learning throughout this whole process. And it's exciting because it's like, oh, wow, now I can educate other people, and maybe we can inspire other farms and ranches to say, no, maybe we can try direct-to-consumer. And that's really ultimately helping my family out with that, and then helping maybe be an inspiration. Like people have said, and FFA in Oklahoma told us that like this year they had the highest enrollment they've had in Oklahoma FFA in 40 years. So you hear that, you're like, maybe we had something to do with that. So I'm like, okay, that was some good we did. Okay, well, now maybe what we're supposed to do with this whole thing, God bless us with, was inspire some other farms and ranches to figure out how to take their product they do direct to consumer.
Do you guys have like a swag website that says "I love being a hussy" or anything like that? I mean, you can sell the crap out of those.
Oh yeah, we've sold more morals over hussies sweatshirts and hoodies in the last year than you wouldn't believe. We do sell our own merch and stuff on like a website. So I bought this website as like an actor profile in 2015 to like show your resume and all. They call it a demo reel in acting.
Yeah. Okay.
Your sizzle reel or whatever. So I had this page.
Sizzle reel.
That sounds.
Sizzle.
The sizzle.
Fun
so
for fun.
The sizzle.
The sizzle reel. The sizzle. The sizzle with Daryl Dizzle. Daryl Dizzle. I have my GatlinDidier.com page, and I was like, I'm not spending more money on a domain, so I'm just going to keep GatlinDidier.com, and that's been our merch site since we started having all this stuff, and we do great with merchandise. Well, now we had, what was the FAFO, Fill Around and Find Out was Granny's latest slogan. Yeah. That crushed it. We have more coming out for the holidays, and then we've been teasing that rebel content for so long. It's like we're telling people to be rebellious, like rebel against the so-called what they call normal now, which is not normal. Yeah. So we're coming out with a bunch of rebel merch, and we have a Rebel Farmers shirt that's coming out. I think you guys will appreciate it, and it's got a nice quote from Thomas Jefferson on the back of it. But it's a paying homage to the founding fathers. Okay. But it's because the founding fathers, a lot of people don't realize that over 30, I think 36 of the 52 that signed the Declaration of Independence were farmers. Okay. And they rebelled against Great Britain. Yeah. So we've been rebel farmers since 1776. Yep. Like America was founded on rebel farmers. Yeah. So we're just trying to bring a little bit of that back to the culture.
One of my favorite podcasts is called History That Doesn't Suck.
Yeah.
And I went all the way back to the beginning. So I listened to a whole bunch during this fall, all the way back to the beginning. And I'm going right through that phase because I love history. But to get that refresher, we just had one episode on the Boston Tea Party and had another episode on just continuing to push what those founding fathers didn't feel was right. Taxation without representation. We're not going to take any of this crap from a king. And
So very reflective where we're at now too, and I think that's what's really cool. I think we've lost that because they don't teach that in school as much. They don't hit it at home, but like these guys were just guys like us. Yeah. 20s and 30s too.
How different is it? I've got the opportunity to travel from New York to California to the Midwest, and here we are in Florida. Boy, you don't have to travel very far, and it's different. So you've been a bunch of different places. Is it so much different in California? I mean, do you think the world seems different there than it does in Oklahoma?
There's parts of California, because like right outside in Ventura County where I lived, in places called Camarillo and Oxnard, it's the fruit capital of the world out there. There's strawberry farms and fields. There's parts of it you're like, and then you get to Central California and Fresno area, and then you go to Northern California. There's parts, when I was up there near Sacramento a few times, I'm like, this looks like Oklahoma up here. Like, what is this? Because I was just down in Southern California near L.A., and like that's when you think of California, that's what most people think of. Right. But majority of California is the largest agriculture in the United States, and like the fifth largest economy in the world. But there is parts of it where it's like it feels like home. But it's been really cool because that state's got so much different diversity in what they do economically. But what I've loved about all this since we started is getting to see and learn about different ways people produce, the way they farm, ranch. Because even ranchers in Texas do it different than how we ranch in Oklahoma. Ranchers in New Mexico do it how different than ranchers in Georgia, because we all have different yields with our pastures and how much like grass our cattle need to eat. Like in Oklahoma, about 10 acres feeds a one calf, one steer, one cow for the year. But in Georgia, you can yield. He said, "Oh, you only need an acre per cow." Yeah. Well, in New Mexico, you need 100 acres. So it's like it's cool to see that and learn that. And that's one of the things I've loved about getting to do all this, like coming down here.
What was that viney? We had an interview with the Reverend Ranch, and it was a viney. I wanted to say kombucha, but that's the drink.
It is a K though. I can't remember that vine.
They're Roman. Forest that you can't walk through.
Yeah, the ones that he's always posting about. Yeah.
And then by the time the cattle are done,
they eat it all, right?
Yep.
It's just gone.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things. And he was the one who taught me about. They only need 1 acre in Georgia.
Yeah.
I was like,
especially with that kind of stuff.
Dang,
they just keep pulling those vines down, and
we don't have
feed value.
We don't have that in Oklahoma.
You guys had pretty good rain though this year.
We did this year. Yeah, we produced like one field for us last year that only produced like 80 bales. Yeah. I did like 420 bales for us this year.
Do you do any grain at all?
We used to. So my grandpa was a wheat farmer and cattle producer, and then we've totally transitioned away from that. We have treated cow we raise our cattle graze out on, and then we plant 90-day corn in the fall to plant for our silage for our grain. We grain mix and bring our grain in, our corn from Nebraska.
Okay.
And we have hominy, and we did alfalfa.
You raise hominy?
No, we buy that, but we buy that around us. No, we don't raise the hominy, but it's all local near us.
Corey, they're probably going to buy it from Nebraska. It's not as good as Iowa.
Yeah, you could probably sell your beef for a little bit more if you got it from
Iowa. You know what? I'm looking in because I'm like, I want to dial in our nutrition better. And I'm curious. I'm like, what if the Iowa corn is better for our cattle? It could be.
It's not what if.
It's not what if. See, I love the state pride we all take and like exactly what we're good at.
My ears perked up about the hominy because I grew up loving hominy and sausage over a cornbread muffin. You guys ever eat?
I never had sausage.
Okay, I feel stupid here. What is hominy?
I thought you liked Twin Bings.
I do love Twin Bings, but that's a dessert. It's a candy bar. No, hominy looks like a exploded or a swollen kernel of corn.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a tooth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So it's a softened texture after it's cut.
Who grows it?
Well, apparently they get it from Nebraska.
What do you?
No, we are corn from Nebraska.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's like, I'm trying to remember. I don't know exactly the farm who we get all of our stuff from, but it's not far from us. Yeah. And then we mix it with. We have our silage. We have a mixer, like a couple mixer trucks. We mix that in, and then throw in the corn.
Yep.
And that's what we feed out in the fall and the winter, and we're grain finishing all of our cattle.
That just brought back one of those childhood memories. You get your old warm and fuzzies, and
I never actually ate hominy though. Like I've heard that, but I've never ate it like
hominy
that.
Hominy and sausage, because we're pork producers, so we always had sausage in the freezer, and you just brown it up, put it all together, tear apart a cornbread muffin or whatever you had there, and sometimes I put ketchup over the top of it just to mix it all together.
You said you had hogs too, didn't you?
Yeah, so that was another business. My dad and it's my childhood best friends, and his dad and my dad were best friends growing up. So we showed pigs. So they started a pig showing, like producing operation called Rough Creek Show Pigs. And then by the end of it, now it's more like it's just feeder pigs, and they just sell out whole or halves to people. Yeah. But they still sell out show pigs too. But that's how it started when we were young. And so we've always had our own sausage too, and we love. Like I think it tastes great compared to buying it from even Blue and Gold. No offense, Blue and Gold to the FFA, but it's like I think anytime you get it, I don't know if it's just psychologically when it's something of your own, you raise it, you know what goes into it, it just tastes better. And that's what I love about like even our beef is like, to me, I know exactly what was happening this whole calf's life. I know it from the start to finish, and something about that makes the meat taste so much better to me.
Makes sense.
Agree. And when it's been fed good Iowa corn.
Yeah. Maybe that's where our last load came in. The last batch was pretty good. Nice marbling.
You'll have to see what you just got. Torque and Sawyer's farmer grade box. You have to see how that pork tastes.
Yeah, he sent me a bacon box too. It's like a smoked cottage bacon. I've never had cottage bacon in my life.
What is cottage bacon?
It looks like a thicker cut. It's like thin but thick. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like wide.
Thin but thick.
Thinly sliced, but almost like a prosciutto kind of wide.
It's like a circle.
Yeah.
More of a circle.
Yeah. So he sent me something. I gotta check that out. I'm really excited. The pork chops look awesome. They're massive.
I think I can hear your Porsche outside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean the
prosciutto.
We are in Florida.
When I worked the fire department a long time ago, you'd have to, as the new guy, you got to go get all the food in the morning, and they said prosciutto. We wrote down, yeah, okay. And I'm looking in the cheese aisle, and I cannot find prosciutto. And I'm like asking the cheese person.
Prosciutto?
No, had no idea. So I'm like, yeah, I got this, guys. So I come back, and I'm like, they do not have it. And you're about to get your butt chewed. And they're like, you don't have it? Yeah, I talked with the cheese people. They're nothing. They're like, you realize this has nothing to do with it. That was a lesson.
I want to go back to the content real quick because you mentioned it. You're doing a Rebel line now, and the content has changed. I noticed it anyway. You used to have a bunch of sponsors and do all that kind of stuff. We don't have to name anybody, but like you have.
No, we're gonna name. We're gonna sit here.
And I
want this one and that one.
And I said it in my intro though that like you were bringing light to real world problems that we deal with here and abroad and all that, and like, how did that come about?
Man, honestly, so for the longest time, Jarrett is always like, we didn't make something like this. And I was like, this is why your account was flagged, and this is why you didn't have your followers for the longest time. So for a long time, I said, dude, you can't go there because you'll alienate people, you all this, so you don't want to go there. And I always try to play like, no, we just stick to funny farming content and that. But then, honestly, like I said, I became a dad the past year. Mm-hmm. That really, something about like my perspective on the world and where everything's going, I'm like, we have this platform of 5 million people. Maybe I can do this in a way that it challenges me, be strategic, be funny, and be almost like an SNL, like how SNL used to do it back in the day. I don't think they're very good at doing it anymore. Or like a Hee Haw, that's what I grew up watching. Or even like how South Park does it. I think those guys honestly are genius how they make fun of things. Yeah. And so I was like, we can do this from this world we've created. So what happened, I think I can almost dial back. Do you know the famous college swimmer Riley Gaines, who was from Kentucky? She was the national champion, then got beat by the Leah Thomas.
Yes.
So now she's out advocating for
gender.
Yeah. So we and her just became Instagram friends. Like I was like, hey, I love what you're standing for and all this stuff. Like always did this stuff behind the scenes. I never like would share or post this stuff. And then the next day is when she got attacked at the University of San Francisco and got locked in that room for three or 4 hours. Yep. And something in my head is that I guess a dad now goes, that is wrong. If that was my daughter, I'd want to kick everybody in that rooms and those cops for not doing anything about that. And something put a fire, and I let my emotions go out and then we make content, but there's something, that one lingered with me for a few days. I told Jarrett, I said, I think we need to really tackle this whole like, why like this, like women and men's sports are two different things. We should do it with like cattle. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, finally. Like, yeah, we have some. So we made a bulls versus steer video, and that one went mega viral, like on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It went everywhere. It went viral. Like when you make one like that, you're like, okay, we made a good one, hit points. And ever since then, it's just inspired, like, okay, how can we do this another way? So now we've talked about the Federal Reserve. We've talked about things I never imagined we'd talk about. Immigration, yeah. And then, just
masculinity.
Masculinity is a huge thing because we need more of that.
So a lot of people posted that, I'm not thinking of it, but the singer that Nunley posted and a lot of other social influencers posted the video that was talking about rich men in Richmond.
Yeah.
Yep. Oliver North.
Oliver North. And I thought, wow.
Oliver
Anthony. They're all posting that. I was like, everybody's taking a position on this. It's interesting that they're taking a side because most people don't. They just kind of.
That one, I think it was kind of accumulation of what we all been feeling. I think what I felt when I made the Bulls versus Steer, and I think it just spoke to a lot of like how we all just feel. And when you can really trigger people's emotions in a way that whether it's good or bad, you're doing something from even an artistic standpoint. So that's where we've made the switch in our content, I think, ultimately came. But honestly, it's more fun to make. Because, like, how much farming stuff can you do to talk about and it not be redundant or who hasn't done it already? Like, and so for me, like you said, are you guys ever going to run out of content? I was like, I mean, you may go on a farm, but we've made the farm come back full circle. I'm like, South Park did it with the little kids in a small town in Colorado. So why can't we do it with our farm characters in Oklahoma?
You're the only person we've interviewed that hasn't said you're an advocate that's in agriculture that I know. And I kind of like that because most of the advocates are preaching to the choir. They're not preaching. They're not getting out there. I've made that comment before.
That's what I think. Honestly, what probably separates us from the rest of because we have the ability to get people from the entertaining side that most others don't. Because
Yep,
everything
I'm
else
with
in
you.
the farming
That
industry.
gal right there that you saw, I don't know if she's ever been on a farm.
I doubt it.
Yeah, she didn't look like she's been on a farm before.
But she knows about farming because of you.
And that's, I think, I've seen now, like, we were given this, so I'd be foolish to not at least try to, okay, how can you, the algorithms only want you to talk about certain things. Well, why can't we talk about them but bring them back to the farm?
Right.
So that's where I'm now seeing the most work that I want to do with what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, I want to unify everybody, but the only way you're going to unify everybody is if we all come together. The only way you're going to pull people in to watch your stuff and learn about your stuff is you got to hook them. So let's hook them with what they're already talking about, you know? So I've had some cool messages from people saying, like, you guys have, like, opened my eyes to so much. I did not know this was going on.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, in agriculture when it comes to, like, beef production, too.
Yeah.
Because we worked with the Oklahoma Beef Council for a couple of years now and talking about, like, our carbon footprint is not as big as, like, what everyone says it is. And then people go, but your video was funny. It hooked me. I watched it. And I go, wow, really? I did my own research, and you're right. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, but people got to be willing to go do their own research.
Saying
too.
Burger King was wrong? So
No. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Poor Mason Ramsey.
Oh, man.
He's collected a paycheck. Grandma needed some money, and that kid about lost his career over that one.
Never trust an Impossible Burger or chicken fries.
There you go.
The funny thing is, though, is sometimes those chicken fry commercials look really good.
I know.
You're like,
Well, Kim Kardashian, I mean, she had the burger, they tried to win you with that old appeal,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's scary what advertising can do, even when you know better.
Yeah. But so that's what we try. It's like, how do we fight all these things going against our communities? And people call us influencers. I tell people, like, I can't even influence my dog. So what makes me think I can influence, people? But I like to think, well, I'm a creator. I'm coming at this from, like, an acting and, like, storytelling perspective and advocate, whatever they call it. But it's like, we're just all, like, what I'm trying to do is keep my family's legacy going and let this thing carry on to the next generations. Because, unfortunately, our community is slowly dwindling down, and if we don't make it popular and cool and all this other stuff, how are we ever going to get interest back into it? It's like what's they call it, the Yellowstone effect that's been going on in the whole cowboy and western scene.
Yeah, everybody
it's
wants.
like, at least there's Yellowstone curiosity.
Yeah.
At least it's created people to go, like, man, cowboy hen looks cool, and that looks like, 20 years ago people did not say that about cowboys.
No, 20 years ago they're talking about Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, exactly. To be a cowboy was that. Yeah. So I think, like, we're trying to make the farm curiosity, the agriculture curiosity come to light. But the only way we can do it is through, all I know is just entertaining.
I mean, we have never viewed ourselves as influencers.
Yeah.
And we have always said that we interview influencers. But I would say more over the last 12 to 18 months, we've realized more that we are sharers and educators. Mm-hmm. We don't have to be the ones that do the educating, but we can share the expert, share the guest that does get that message out, and that's the more value that we bring. You know, it's nice to say that we can influence, but ultimately, just like you said, if we advertise a product or do an interview that draws somebody's attention to it, great. Then make your own decision.
Yeah.
You know, we're not telling you to go do this because it's the best thing we've ever done in our lives. We might, if it's true.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we're just sharing with you that, hey, we just discovered this. We just heard about this. Maybe you haven't yet.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I love about y'all's podcast is, like, the curiosity y'all bring to it allows, because, that's reflective of a lot of the curiosity of people in our way of life is, like, what is going on? Like, how are those people? How do you get all them followers on TikTok? Like, how do you make money at that or whatever? And, like, that's what I love about getting to share, with everybody. Because, like, we're all just, again, dudes.
Yeah.
Hanging out, having a conversation. We're all just people at the end of the
That's
day.
the neat thing about podcasting is everybody that sends you a DM that you're like, I don't have time to read through 10 million DMs. We get asked those same questions that they're asking to all the cool people. So, yep.
It is fun when you think back to, I still reflect when we started, because I was that guy in people's DMs asking them how they got it. What equipment did they use? Where did they go? And it's tough because I got to remember that that's how I got started.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we're able to keep up pretty good because there's three of us. Mm-hmm. There's multiple people to handle questions, whether they're emailed in or not. It's got to be difficult as an individual, like you were talking earlier. You get so many of them.
Yeah, like when I get home, so I have like hour and a half commute to the farm, hour and a half back. So I have 3 hours driving from where we built our house. So it's like I have a commute.
Why'd you build it there?
Well, it's really hard to take a Southern California girl and put her in the middle of nowhere right away. So
closer to a city a
little bit closer. Still out in like a nice little country area. It used to be all farmland when I was a kid growing up. Now there's a bunch of subdivisions and all that happening. But I have that commute, and so for me, like that's my time to, like, when you're from working, but when I get home, like I just want
That's
to
when
hang
you get
out.
in with your driver and you tell him to go.
Yeah, like what we had today, getting here. Like I was like, man, this would be nice. I can do emails and all that stuff. But like by the time my time from creating to being at the farm, doing all this stuff with the beef, like, I don't even have time to go read those DMs because I get home, I want to be dad. I want to bathe my bath time with. I call bath time with my little girl. Feed her, hang out with her the few hours I get. I want to be dad, and then when I go to bed, I want to hang out with my wife. And like, I don't want to be reading DMs from, Justin 2.9367. Like, hey, hated that video you made. Just thought I'd let you know. Like, all right,
Thought I'd let you know.
Okay, or like, you said someone slides in and she's like, I don't,
shoot.
I don't have time for that.
I forgot about that. We always like to throw a listener review in. So this will probably be the latest in an episode we've ever put a listener review. And it was a good one when you said, I hated that show. Because we got this one here from Matt R. Gave us 5 stars. We always tell people they can leave us 5 stars, write whatever you want to. As long as they leave you 5 stars.
Yeah, you write whatever you want.
What did Matt say?
He said, love the show. Please keep it up. We want more John Deere equipment content, please. Not a farmer yet, but want to be a farmer. I enjoyed your 100th anniversary episode of the John Deere D. Matt R.
I've heard a couple people that episode that we did. That was
I thought
good.
you were going to have someone that didn't like one of our shows.
No, but that's.
He only reads the good ones.
I do not. We do not
love
only
us or
read the
hate
good
us
ones.
segment. Love us or hate us.
We do not only read the good ones. We
Read mean
do-
tweets.
we do-
read mean tweets.
Do you edit everything yourself? Do you package your shirts and all that, or have you built a team?
Yeah, so up until May of this year, so I've been almost 3 full years in. I had edited every single piece of content. I had worked every brand deal. I'd have done it. It was always just me. And then finally I was able to build on. I have our first full employee who does our videography editing, and he does a lot of other back-end like graphic designs for T-shirts and things like that. And that was a good buddy of mine growing up. I was able to bring him. He moved to California and started doing this at another job for it's like an online store that sells they're selling like engagement rings on a mass scale. So he was doing that there, but like I needed this and he wanted to come back to Oklahoma, so like God's time worked there on that. And then we do package our own merchandise. We like everything's been in house to this point. Wow. The biggest thing now, like with the beef, I was like, I'm not gonna have. We found a logistics company out of Oklahoma City where you can store the beef and then they can package, fulfill everything. Because after consulting lots of our friends who do this, they say it takes up so much of your time. And if you're a person who creates content, it's going to eat into like 90% of that. And you're not going to be able to make the content to help promote the stuff or share people, educate them on what you're doing. So my advice would be find that. I was like, that's so weird because I just found this logistics company that could do all this for us. So in January of this year, they're going to start full-time taking over our shipping. And that's what's unfortunate. Like we had that happen. But other than that, we do everything in-house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think last year I calculated up we did 775 videos between us 3 last year. And I look back, I'm like, I did all that. Like, you don't realize that.
Holy cow.
I did all those. So I'm like, fuck. When did I sleep?
Are you doing that on your computer then?
Yeah, I had Adobe Premiere Pro.
Yeah,
I mean,
say.
I'm one of those guys.
You're not using CapCut for that, man.
Once I was trained. No. Once I was trained on that in school and stuff, and I just like they keep evolving what they do with it. I'm like, I just stuck to it. And we shoot on now like a Sony. Sony FX3. We upgraded to that this year, but we were on a Canon R6 for a long time. Like I like shooting on higher quality stuff. Phones do a great job of it now too, but I just like that. But it makes our whole operation a little bit harder. So like it's shot like almost like a mini TV show or a mini movie when we shoot. We're scripted out, we're reading the script off our phones, we're on a piece of paper. Feed grandma her lines, or she'll just come up with her own, and that's usually when we get the best ones. Like Morals Over Hussies was a total just out of left field grandma line, but it makes it's like there's just more time in everything we do because that's just how I operate too. Right. So yeah, we've been doing it all up until May, and I finally have somebody handling that. But now because my time has went all to this direct to consumer business, and when you're the one running the back end of web design to the logistics to how much inventory we got, I'm managing the processor, shipments to Oklahoma City. Right. That's a full-time job on top of doing what we already do. Yeah. So. And
as you have kids and more kids, yes, you want more time.
Dad life
to yourself.
Definitely just like it's like you thought you were busy before, and then you had to throw a kid in there. Yeah. But honestly, you figure out like I have so much. I know how to I have more bandwidth than I thought I had before. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It is. It comes and goes because then there's times to where sometimes I sit there and I want to go do this, and I'm fried, just mentally fried.
Yeah.
Just, dang. All I want to do is throw on Survivor on TV or some brainless TV show. It's like I just can't comprehend anything anymore.
It hits me about every 3 weeks. I have a day where I'm like, I have to turn off everything and just like not do anything. Just be like, hang out with, watch my little girl play. We'll go for a walk or something. Like there's days where I just have to like, okay, I have to do this for my sanity. Or like I love just when we're out there and it's just peace and quiet. And then you're like, okay, I can actually enjoy being on the farm. Yeah. This isn't like a business. Because now getting to work and stuff, we were talking about you guys like, how much do you work now versus. To me, the work is actually more therapeutic now than because everything else it's like I'm always on like, oh, that's a video idea, or, oh, that's a business idea, oh, like when we're there, and so it's no longer like this little safe haven I thought it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've seen that just as we've gone around. Every time you're in the airport or somewhere, like, ooh, there's content, and get my phone out. There's content.
The first thing we did, we got out of that car.
Yep,
and we looked at these 2 tractors out front.
Oh man, I could use those somewhere.
Before that, we were on a John Deere Gator getting driven in like 6-inch heels.
This could be a sponsor.
All right, well, we are an hour and 20 minutes into the raw content side of this. This is absolutely awesome. And again, I can't wait to do it again. To meet up at another place, have you in Iowa, whatever it ends up being, just to hang out and get to know you even more. But thank you.
It'd be really cool if all 3 were together, or if Granny comes to Omaha again on one of her trips.
Yeah, I'll just tell her to swing by.
Like, we can go to Omaha. We're 2 hours away.
2 hours away.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll have to be there because her friend may be trying to pry into y'all's business. Yeah.
You know what,
sorry, Janice ain't watching this. So I ain't worried about it.
Janice ain't watching.
We'll set Janice right next to Granny. She's probably got just as much.
We'll bring a suitcase full of fake movie money and like slide it over to Granny in front of Janice.
Janice will be like this.
My God.
This
probably have a heart attack right there.
Janice might probably try to pull out. How do I operate this? No, Janice, you're not going to hit the jackpot. Trust me. Well, it's been a blast. Thank you all for having me. I know we've been trying to do this for so long, and y'all.
This was well worth the wait.
Yeah, it was.
We do ask every one of our guests the same question. During this fall, we've been asking them what your favorite part about being a farmer or rancher is.
I think for me, the most fulfilling part of it is continuing the family, like the legacy that so many of my ancestors I was touching on in the beginning have went through. Like your French immigrant like family that came over here, left their country they knew, fought to where they're be at today, start something, and then it lasts 120 years. And seeing the continuation of that, and then my goal when I was a kid, even when I left, I always thought, how can I come back and help this? That was always something in my heart. Like, even if I go and acting, what if I make a bunch of money and come back and, like, that was always in my head. But now this is what I'm meant to do with this thing. It's like, this is how I'm going to take it. So for me, I think it's continuing the family legacy.
That was a great answer.
It's very good. You said that immigrating over, and I thought about Jared McDaniel again, and he always also made the joke of, why did my ancestors... Did they break down here? or what? Like, why did you not keep going? Like, why did you stop somewhere where I have to water to get corn or get 10 acres to grow?
This was the best place. Yellowstone.
But then you love it. Like, you literally just, like, you make it your own.
Yeah.
You get by.
They persevered and find it. That's the whole video idea I think I'm going to do. It's like, what was my family thinking? And it's like, goes back to like 1898. This is paradise.
Or covered wagon wheel brakes. But, well, I guess this is where we're stopping. Build the house.
Exactly. It's one of those where they see a rainbow and they don't realize that's the last rainbow they'll ever see.
It's like like a Family Guy. Like cut to that scene real quick. Yeah,
that's good.
That's great. Well, Corey, what do you say? You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, crack a bush light. You deserve it.